With YouTube demonetizing independent media, please consider becoming a patron today for just $1 per month. Link below. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and Solo: A Star Wars Story opened up this weekend, and it has been a very, very, very interesting couple days because you have watched fans from across the spectrum both applaud the film and attack the film and be somewhere in the middle on it, and it's very divisive. It's very interesting to see how this movie has been received by people, and we know that it's come under. Well, it's definitely kind of come under the expectations. Showing here that it's got a $103 million U.S. bow and it crashes overseas. A lot of people who are anti-Star Wars right now, very much on the hater train, because of the practices of Lucasfilm and how they've treated Star Wars fans, are championing this, thinking that their boycott on Rotten Tomatoes and their boycott of the film is what led to it. Unfortunately, that's not necessarily the case, and I do want to talk about that one here. But first, let's take a look at the Rotten Tomatoes here. We can see that the film has got a 70% tomato meter. It is not certified fresh. I do expect it will be certified fresh probably by tomorrow. And it's got, a 6.4 out of 10 is the average rating. The audience score is 61%. When that's a far cry from the fact that the numbers kept going down in terms of the audience that wanted to see it. And again, that was something that was probably spurred on by people who have realized how profitable it is to shit on Star Wars on YouTube and their audiences. And I'm not going to name names, but you probably know who I'm talking about. And so there's that. But let's take a look here real quick at the Cinemascore for Solo: A Star Wars Story, right? Cinemascore is the type of score that really matters. This Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate. It's not exactly something that you can really put a lot of stock into one way or the other. But Cinemascore is the industry leader in measuring movie appeal among theater audiences. Since 1978, Cinemascore has been polling moviegoers at major movie releases on opening night to collect demographic information and calculate a distinctive Cinemascore grade. And it was given an A-. Right? It was given an A-, and that is good. That is good. Fans coming out of seeing Solo, people who went to the movies to go see it, liked it. I'll tell you this, people I know who didn't want to go see Solo ended up going and seeing it this weekend and actually had an absolute blast. They loved the movie because they were pleasantly surprised with it. So you might be asking yourself, if it's got a cinema score of A-, and people who are coming out of the theater who have seen it are finding it to be serviceable and entertaining, people who didn't think they would like it, how did it only pull out $103 million on a 3-day or 4-day holiday weekend? Memorial Day weekend used to be a big, huge movie weekend. How did this happen? How is this a thing? Well, here's the thing with that. It actually was a thing. Apparently it was. Solo: A Star Wars Story had the biggest Memorial Day opening since 2014. That is 4 years ago. That is 4 years ago, that we've been seeing a decline in Memorial Day weekend openings. Now you might be asking yourself, how is that even remotely possible? If it's a big movie, it should have done well. Oh, maybe. And it probably should have, had it come out at quite literally any other time. The release date for this movie was one that was meant to coincide with the 41st anniversary of the release of A New Hope. This was locked in. This was locked in a year ago, or we were supposed to see the Last Jedi come out a year ago on this particular date, but it didn't, and they pushed it to Christmas, and it worked out well for them. Even if you didn't like the movie, you can't deny that it grossed over $1.3 billion. This movie should have also been pushed to the wintertime in order to get over a lot of the controversy surrounding The Last Jedi and not have it feel like Star Wars fatigue. And I think that's a big problem here. Now, it says here that it isn't all doom and gloom when it comes to an opening weekend for the latest Star Wars film. Despite coming in below expectations, Solo: A Star Wars Story had the biggest opening for a film during the Memorial Day weekend since 2014. Current estimates have Solo looking at a $103 million domestic, while some believe it could even hit $107 million by tomorrow morning. Now, the thing is, the cinema score being A-, and the fact that the audience actually liked it on Rotten Tomatoes, and good positive word of mouth is probably going to help add to that maybe potential $4 million increase. There is going to be a lot of positive word of mouth at this movie that is going to help it uptick on the second weekend and throughout the course of the week. But no, this is by all accounts basically not a bomb, but a flop in terms of its opening numbers. Hopefully things will pick up for the film, because again, it's really not as bad as many people are making it out to be. Now, it does go on to say, while this is the smallest opening for any of the recent Star Wars Wars films. It's the biggest box office opening during Memorial Day weekend since X-Men Days of Future Past debuted at $110 million in 2014. Over the past few years, X-Men Apocalypse, Alice Through the Looking Glass, Tomorrowland, and Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales, and Baywatch have all debuted to disappointing numbers as well. And this is just the fact that Memorial Day weekend no longer houses the same impact it did. I spent 14 years working in movie theaters, and Memorial Day weekend was the type of weekend I would want to just die from. We're talking 5 days of insane customers. It was 5 days of hell, what we would call it. We would all get super hammered afterward just as a way to unwind from the weekend. And my brother works at my old theater now, and even he said, it's busy, but it's not as busy as it's been recently. And as a result of that, we're seeing that not just from this movie, but across the board, many years past, these films have not been doing as well. Now, it does go on to say some more about the weekend, but look, here's the thing. We know by just following the box office totals over the course of the past couple of weeks, Avengers opened with insane amounts of money, right? Just insane amounts of money. But what opened last week? Well, that would be Deadpool 2. Deadpool 2 came in about 125 to 130 million, if I recall correctly. Deadpool 2, over the course of this weekend, $43.5 million. That is $43.5 million that it potentially took away from Solo: A Star Wars Story. Had Deadpool 2 not released last weekend, this movie would have cleared 100 million, guaranteed. It would have been over that digit number, 100%. So Deadpool 2 coming in at 80% or 82% certified fresh. People loved the movie. People went back to go see it again. It had a 77% drop, but it was enough to impact Solo. In fact, that was the whole reason why Deadpool 2 moved itself forward. They moved itself forward by 2 weeks in order to get out of the wake of Solo, because right when they released the tickets for presale, it had enough people coming in to buy tickets that it was actually higher than Black Panther. And so that was where Deadpool thought to themselves, oh damn, we've got to get over this. We've got to get in front of it. Well, there was going to be that second week, drop, but it was still going to make a lot of money. 43.5 million on its second weekend is pretty damn good, considering that even Avengers Infinity War pulled in 17.4 and the new one, Book Club, pulled in 10.2. So you can see here that just between the two other big movies right now, Avengers and Deadpool, there was an additional almost $61 million that was taken out of potential earnings for Solo. And that is where that money would have gone. Not all of it, mind you, but a fair amount of it, putting it over giving it the 15 million it needed to cross over to the 100 million mark for the 3 days would have happened without those films. So this is one of the things with this movie is when you look at why Solo failed, it's not because Solo failed entirely because of the movie itself, or because of the people involved, or because of Kathleen Kennedy right here. It has everything to do with the fact that the movie released at the wrong time. We're seeing movies now come out in September with $300 million, in February with Black Panther grossing 0.3 billion opening in February. We've seen Beauty and the Beast last year open mid-March, 2 weeks after Logan, still pull in $1.1 billion. Movies can come out now, not in the summer movie season, and gross more than the movies during the summer movie season. The summer movie season is so overbloated these days and so completely stacked that audiences are picking and choosing. And when you have 3 major releases in the span of quite literally 4 weeks, it is going to have an impact on one another. Hollywood knows this, but they still continue to go down this path. Disney has Memorial Day releases locked down until 2022. Next year is Aladdin. Now, based on Beauty and the Beast opening up in March and pulling in 1.1 billion, do you think that Aladdin is going to do the same? Even if the movie is well received, people are not going on this weekend. This is not a weekend that should be avoided, but it's not a weekend that should be applauded or lauded or anything else. The week before or the week after seem to be the best spots. Memorial Day weekend is now basically a suck, depending on what else is out. And sadly, it's taken Solo: A Star Wars Story, and you could call it colossal failure or torrential failure, whatever you want to say, torrential failure, to kind of prove that. And so while the haters are going to sit there and clap their hands and run to YouTube to make videos saying that they did it, that they brought it down, that their boycott worked, it's actually not exactly like that at all. Not to say it didn't have an impact. I'm not going to sit there and say it didn't have an impact at all, because I'm pretty sure it did. But just looking at the general consensus of what else is out, at everything else going on, and in terms of the weekend the movie came out, and also The Last Jedi, Solo had everything banked against it. It did. It had everything pushed against it. And it still came out with $103 million for the weekend. While not great, not the end of the world. Hopefully we will get a sequel that will come out at a more manageable time and will not have the same kind of production problems. And hopefully by then, this woman won't be running the show. But I leave it to you guys. What do you think about this? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I semi-right? Have I got a good point? Am I just a complete idiot shill for Disney, even though I'm crapping on Kathleen Kennedy right here? These are things I want to know. Let me know down in the comments. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, and check back often for more content from me. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is to watch them. Or patreon.com/MundaneMatt, or, just share it around or watch them, like I said. And if you want to do that, you can do that right now.